This Two and a Half Men feud is definitely one of the most famous feuds in all of Hollywood. Since Sheen's departure from the show, much has happened. Sheen wanted to show up for the show's final, while Laurie had his own ideas of his return. Chuck Lorre also recently revealed that he created a new show pilot based on his Charlie-Sheen feud. Let's dive right in and see what's been going on. First off, let's take a look at what Laurie and Sheen's Two and a Half Men rift was about. Sheen and Laurie's quarrel on Two and a Half Men is widely regarded as one of the most notorious in Hollywood history, beginning with Sheen's drug addiction and abuse frequently denying shooting scenes on the sitcom, eventually leading to his departure from the TV series. Sheen began openly criticizing Laurie in interviews and through his own YouTube channel, with some of his remarks drawing allegations of anti-Semitism, which nearly ended up trashing Sheen's brand, making him infamous for being the drug-addicted, hard-to-work-with actor in Hollywood. The four-time Emmy nominee even sued Laurie and WB-TV for $100 million, but the case was quietly and discreetly settled a few months later. Laurie was also outspoken about his dislike for Sheen following his firing from Two and a Half Men, eventually revamping the series to kill off Charlie and incorporate Ashton Kutcher's Walden Schmidt in his spot, while keeping John Cryer's Alan as his roommate. Despite a slight increase in ratings, Kutcher's tenure has received generally mixed reviews and audiences alike, prompting the decision to end the show on its 12th season. Laurie took advantage of the opportunity to take vengeance on Sheen with the Two and a Half Men final episode, in which Charlie was revealed to be alive but had a piano dropped on him at the end, effectively ending any possibility of a revival. Next up, let's take a look at Laurie's idea for his new pilot: drugs and sitcom. Chuck Lorre appears to have drawn inspiration for his next sitcom from his major controversy. According to THR, Lorre wrote a script for a half-hour sitcom called Drugs and a Sitcom, based on his time working with Sheen in Two and a Half Men. Lorre's new script is set to premiere in June 2022, and based on the recent report, it has been shopped around but has yet to find a home on any network or streaming service. The written pilot begins with the note about how everything in the story is true, except for cutting the boring and making up a bunch of stuff, implying that some creative liberties will be taken. The pilot then jumps ahead to 9 years earlier before it all, in the words of Laurie, turned into a septic clusterfuck, describing in detail how the show came to be in the first place. The pilot is also said to end with a text making a joke about Laurie depicting himself positively. It says that in this telling of the story, Chuck Lorre is portrayed as witty and sympathetic, and another version depicts him as arrogant and insecure, which can be written by someone else. According to the report, the pilot also stars actors from other sitcoms Laurie has worked on, besides former CBS CEO Les Moonves and Warner Bros. TV chairman Peter Roth. Moving on, let's see if Laurie's pilot will actually get made or not. According to the report on Laurie's script, he only passively tries to sell the script as his new pilot around town to multiple executives and streaming services. Unfortunately, none of these attempts landed Laurie's new show a spot, leaving many audiences and fans to wonder if the pilot will ever be made or aired. Charlie Sheen has developed a complicated reputation in Hollywood, one many would not like to poke at. Considering this as a factor, as well as the delicate nature of his major, a very public feud with Laurie, it appears most likely that the only way this could work is if someone confident in the content would be willing to give it a shot. Even though Laurie has a tricky relationship with CBS, and his ongoing relationship may be a significant barrier to his pilot being aired, his connections with both of today's biggest streaming services, Netflix and HBO Max, may be efficient enough for getting his script in productions and on screen. Many original fans of the show turned against Lorre after his decision to discard Sheen, as they believed the show didn't stay the same after. We're not sure about how the show is going to play out against these fans of the original, along with Sheen's loyal supporters, but who knows, maybe the show is actually great. Taking a step back from the new idea for a TV show, back when the Two and a Half Men rift was ongoing, there was talk of Sheen coming back, at least for the final episode. Let's take a look at what happened and how we got the finale that we did. First off, Sheen said he regretted the way he handled his exit on 2.5 Men. Charlie Sheen said that he traded a hashtag for an early retirement. Looking back at what happened between him and the show years down the line, Sheen has a great deal of regret. The actor mentioned that he had several options for dealing with the situation at the time, and he chose the wrong one. He said that there were close to 55 different ways he could have dealt with the situation, and that he chose number 56. He then added that his growth post-meltdown started with him taking absolute ownership over his role and everything that happened at the time, a role that he described as desperate and juvenile. Sheen also went on to admit that he had an opportunity to try and make things right by flying on a private plane, but he chose not to do it, which is something he would do differently if he was given the opportunity again. However, regardless of the difficulties and problems that happened, there was talk of Sheen returning during the finale. In fact, the final episode was built around his return. Charlie was prepared to return for the finale, but not in the way Laurie had intended. Moving on, Sheen sought an emotional reunion with Jon Cryer that would pave the way for a spin-off, The Harpers, but it didn't happen. According to Chuck Lorre, both parties communicated in an effort to provide closure to the fans who were upset at Sheen's dismissal from the show and his character's abrupt end in the story. Lorre, however, revealed to TV Insider that things did not go as planned. He said that there was so much earnest and heartfelt demand from the show's fans to get at least some kind of closure. He added that when they found a way to work what they felt was okay and appropriate, they reached out to Sheen a month before and pitched the idea to him. Lorre then reported that Sheen didn't like the idea and pitched his own alternative idea, which they didn't like. He then said his team and Sheen eventually shook hands and went their separate ways, remarking that it wasn't meant to be. Sheen claims that if things might have gone his way, he would have done the finale and arrived on set early. Lorre revealed that the actor had planned a different ending, one which most fans may have actually preferred. Lorre reported that Sheen wanted them to write a heartwarming scene that would end up setting his return to a new primetime sitcom, which would be called The Harpers and would star Sheen and Jon Cryer. Clearly, that didn't happen, and the finale went in a different direction. Lastly, the finale happened according to Lorre, but it wasn't his original pitch. Many fans of 2.5 Men were typically underwhelmed and disappointed with the show's finale, given the absence of the real Charlie Sheen. Lorre wanted the final return of Sheen, but it wasn't going to happen on his terms. Here's what Lorre had planned for the ending. Their idea was to have Sheen walk up to the house's front door in the last scene, ring the bell, and then turn and look directly into the camera, before going off a maniacal rant about the many dangers of drug abuse. The scene would go on as Sheen would explain that all these dangers only applied to normal average people, and that Sheen himself was far from average, that he was a ninja warrior from Mars, and that he was invincible. Then they would end it by dropping a piano on him. They thought it was funny, but Sheen didn't agree, and for good reason. Neither of these two scenarios was meant to be, especially this one, as some may understand why Sheen chose not to return for the finale. Despite the fact that Sheen turned down the return offer, the show hired a double and ended the show by eventually dropping that piano on him. Guess they got some of their original idea on screen. That's a wrap for this video. Would you want to see a show about Sheen and Lorre's rift? Would you have wanted to see Sheen play a bigger role in the finale? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.